Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Today is Friday, which if you work a Monday through Friday job, it's that day, the day that everybody looks forward to because guess what? Tomorrow's the weekend. You guys got big plans for the weekend? Anybody going out riding this weekend? I know we are redoing the floors in our back patio. Finally, it's going to be warm enough, and we're just going to get her done. So I think that's what we're doing all day Saturday. But anyway, what do you got planned? What are your big plans this weekend? What do you got going on? Anyway, man, I'm saying anyway a lot. So anyhow, I say all those words quite frequently, if you haven't noticed. Anywho, today's subject. So today's subject is the psychology of the upgrade. That sounds like really technical, doesn't it? I'm not a psychologist. Nor do I play one on TV. This is purely an opinion. It is not meant as a medical diagnosis. How many other disclaimers can I throw in here before somebody's like, well, you said... Anyway, what the hell am I talking about? I'm talking about our need as humans to upgrade, to add on. I mean, especially us in the motorcycle world, right? We are never happy with our motorcycle. Like, we're adding this piece of chrome and this piece of black and this light and this seat and these handlebars and these, and the list goes on and on and on. And then the funny thing is, so many of us get to where the bike is like what we dreamed of, and then we get rid of it and we start all over and we do the same thing again. We put on different headlights and different, all that, right? It's funny because that stems across everything, right? The car guys do it, the motorcycle guys do it, the bicycle guys do it. I mean, you pretty much name it, it goes across. But what brought this subject up today was sim racing. So I know I have an illness. My illness is when I get into something, like I get into it. So I start diving in a little deeper, trying to learn about the world that exists around whatever it is I'm doing, whether that's RC cars, whether that's motorcycles. I really dove into the motorcycle world, but or sim racing. So right now, like, sim racing is growing at an incredible mark where the motorcycle world isn't. This was one of the things I was kind of looking at and comparing, and it's crazy because they're both about equal in value right now. As in other words, you know, X amount of dollars per year is brought in by the motorcycle industry, and the racing simulated that stuff right there, about the same amount of money. The racing industry, the simulated racing industry, is growing by like 13 or 14% a year. The motorcycle industry is not growing by 13 to 14% a year. But anyway, that's like a whole nother subject. But I guess what I'm getting at is, so I asked a question in one of my sim racing groups, just to try to get a feel. So just like everything else, there are cheap, intermediate, and expensive sim racing rigs, just like there are with motorcycles, right? Cheap, middle, top of the line. I mean, some of these rigs, I've seen some that are $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. They're the CVO of rigs. Then you've got people like me that have the entire setup for $500 or less. There are people that have less than me that built their own rig. I mean, so it runs the gamut. But my question in the group was, why do you change? So if you're having fun, winning races with your current setup, why do you get the next step up, the more expensive setup? Because I see people doing it like all the time. They're super excited that I got rid of this and I've got this and I can't wait for it to get here. And so my question to them was, why? Why do you guys do that? Because to me, the entire point of racing is to get online and to get in the race and to go to first place, to win, right? So some of their things were the immersion, the experience of it, right? The better the rig, the more you feel like you're actually driving a car. I get that. Some of them were like, it's just cool. It's cool tech. We all get that euphoria from whatever we do, right? Adding a new headlight to your bike adds a certain bit of euphoria. I put a new headlight in it. It's awesome. And that's what you'll look at and talk about for a while. So there is that, the psychology of it, right? You feel better about yourself, what you've done, what you've accomplished when you add that upgrade to whatever it is that you're upgrading, right? It gives you that little bit of boost of, look at what I did. I've made things better. My bike is cooler. My racing rig is better. I mean, that is crazy. And the funny thing is, like, all these manufacturers and sellers of all this stuff, they know this, right? I mean, Hurley knows this better than any company out there, I swear. What's that? You've seen the meme, right? If you ever think that your job is worthless, just think of how the guy that puts the exhaust on a new Harley Davidson feels like, right? Because that's one of the first things that goes, is the exhaust. And then if they have the standard headlights, that's probably the second thing to go, right? Everybody's going to LED. But that's it. Hurley has done that for years and years. They build XYZ bike, but they leave these parts and pieces for you to upgrade and change and make the bike yours. That was one thing that we always said about Harley Davidsons. They were all custom because nobody ever leaves them stock. And the moment they start changing stock parts for other parts, they become a custom bike. So all Harleys are custom, probably one way or another. But anyway, there is that kind of across the platform. I believe we have an illness. And that illness is never to be happy or satisfied with what we have. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's kind of good to strive for what's next, what's better. How do we get that little bit of boost to our lives and to our mentality? And it can be as small as replacing something on your car, on your bike, on your sim rig, whatever. But it's just crazy when I look at it and I look across different genres of industry. Does that make any sense at all? Genres of industry. When I look across sim racing, motorcycling, all this, and they all essentially do the same thing. Thank you, honey, for joining in. They essentially do the same thing with different products. Honey! Thank you. Anyway, honey's out here raising hell. That was my thoughts for today. I hope you have a fantastic Friday and even better Saturday and Sunday. We'll see you guys tomorrow.